Good evening. It's MK and John here, and we just had a difference of opinion. It really almost never happens, of course, with couples. But he said, "You think we're going to get this on the first take?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And he goes, "Nah."
Since it is our first take.
It is our first take.
So here we go.
One of our dreams, and that 8 to Great's all about acknowledging your dreams and owning them and following them and speaking them. And so we've spoken that one of our dreams is couples ministry. So this is our first ever video. And I want to tell you a story of what we're going to share with you tonight. I've been studying about couples my whole single life and looking for somebody who would do couples activities with me, couples foundation skill building with me, and
really not only for the purpose of ministry, but for companionship.
Well, yeah, because it's fun, right? Because I really think it's powerful. So we know about the divorce rate in this country, right? It's 52% divorced. It's like, right, we didn't want to do it that way again. So I came across a tool that I read had lowered the divorce rate of the hundreds of thousands of people who had used it to 2%. And I said, why isn't every couple in the world using this? So I'd ask couples, and one or the other would say, it's not my thing. Oh my gosh, or we're too busy. Oh my gosh. It's called a 10 and 10, and the whole thing takes 20 minutes a week. And so that wasn't right away, but shortly after, we wrote a couples agreement when we started dating about what we wanted in our relationship. And
which really included the things that we were passionate about that we thought would help us to succeed as a couple.
Yes.
That's what our couples agreement was about.
And individually as well. We wrote a personal agreement and a couples agreement. So I love that idea that John came up with. Anyway, so we did the couples agreement and the personal agreement, and then out of that, I offered some tools, and we decided to use this as one of our tools for our toolbox. We decided to commit to it weekly, and we've never missed. Right? We've never missed.
Even when you're on the road.
Right. And so I'm delighted that John's joining me for this tonight, because I think sometimes people think it's, girly stuff or touchy-feely, and John builds and designs swimming pools and, has the whole guy thing going pretty strong here. And he's really, really committed to this and good at it, really good at it. So first of all, maybe just share about why you're so committed to it.
Well, I think first and foremost is because I want this relationship to succeed. And as we were moving into our romance phase and growing to know each other, I really wanted to utilize resources that maybe I hadn't had access to, and if I didn't use before. And so as we chatted about these things and practiced them early on in the relationship, it really inspired me to make it part of our couples ritual time. And when I say ritual time, it was something that, having tried it a few times and seen kind of the heart level communication that we began to develop, that it was absolutely a good investment of time. And it's not like I looked at, it's Monday, here comes the 10 and 10. It was more like, it's Monday, we get the 10 and 10 tonight, because we take turns when we do 10 and 10. So one week you write the question, or
I haven't told you about this.
So my gosh, okay. I got ahead of myself again. I'm so excited to share this with you guys. So here we go.
Well, and I think what you meant to say was as we were moving out of the romance phase, right? Because all the writers say that couples have a romance phase, and then at some point they move into what can be a power struggle phase. And so in the romance phase, we started this, but you certainly can start it at any point in the relationship. And then after power struggle is bliss. So yeah, there's a happy ending to all the power struggle. But yeah, so here's the skill. So you first of all have to have a timer, and John's always good about bringing his phone and setting 10 minutes. And one or the other of you has chosen a question to write about. And there's something so powerful about writing. We say in 8 to Great, we'll write what we will not say. So it's not likely that over dinner I'm going to say, honey, did you know I can't live without you? I mean, it just probably isn't going to come up on a regular basis. But I'm really likely to write it to him, especially when it's a couple's evening. So it's more heart-centered. The same thing, you can talk about painful feelings or scary feelings in writing much better than you can talking about them. So the first thing is you choose a question. And on the website, on the internet are websites that you type in marriage encounter, which is where I learned this, marriage encounter dialogue questions. Just type in those 4 words. And again, probably 25 sites full of questions. We're going to share some of our questions with you because now we don't use, here's one of our lists. We don't use the list anymore. We mostly make up our own. But if we ever run out, we'll come and say, what is one of our greatest strengths as a couple? How do I feel when we make time for us? What outfit of yours do I like the best? What's my favorite song that reminds me of you? What am I willing to do for the sake of our relationship to make it better? How do I feel when I make a mistake around you? So, yeah, all sorts of questions.
And I'll say that one of the values for me in starting out with the list, Mary Kay, was that it took some of the pressure off of me. It allowed me to just kind of settle in with a pre-prepared question that maybe was a little less real time and a little less energized per se. It gave me a safe way to practice the process with you. And then certainly over time we've moved from the list. I can't remember the last time we used the list, but it's still there are questions that are still thought-provoking between us and emotionally provoking. And some of them are about circumstances in our immediate past or our present time, and some of them are just things that are just kind of centered around relationships. So not necessarily specific to ours, but so yeah,
more general.
So I think it's safe to start out with questions.
Yeah, and the questions, some of them are much safer. How do I like to be pampered? Is a much safer question than, so what is the elephant in the room that neither of us want to talk about? So let's take that one. Let's take the biggie, the elephant in the room. So let's say John chose that question and I go, okay. And so we get out our yellow legal pad and I have mine and he has his and he sets the timer. And it might be nice to have a little quiet music in the background if you're not used to doing this because it'll trigger your right brain. But our right brains are both pretty strong, so we just start writing. And it's amazing how much you can write. We usually get, what, 2 pages done? I mean, 2
page and a half, 2 pages.
Yeah,
each.
Right, of 8.5 by 11 pages. So we're writing. And then ding, it goes off, and then we stop. And then the person who chose the question goes first in our little rules. Because, again, if it's a really vulnerable question, hey, I'm scared to share mine. You chose this question, go for it. And then he reads his, and then I read mine to him. And usually we wait for discussion until after they've both been read, right? I think.
Yeah.
Usually. I mean, there's no hard and fast rule there, but it's really important that both be read. And remember, you only have 10 more minutes. So you have 10 minutes to write and then 10 minutes to read and discuss.
Process,
right. And the reading is a minute each. That's very short. But and sometimes we don't even discuss it for that long. Sometimes it's just, wow, that's cool to know. And I didn't realize that. One of the things I learned sometimes so much from his answers that I want to go record them so that I can come back and go, oh, yeah, I want to remember that that's how he likes to be pampered. Or let's share some of our questions, honey. So one of mine was 2 qualities you appreciate most in me. That was a fun one. I think we did it around Valentine's Day, and it's really surprised me. I think you said playfulness and professionalism. The P's. And I appreciated his incredible listening skills. What was the other one? Incredible listening skills. Maybe your sense of humor, because he's just a silly Willy, and just makes me laugh. So I could have written down 20 more, and so we might some other time say, okay, what are 2 more qualities you appreciate in me? But I really do want to keep these in a book, so I'm gonna find a way to put these out in a 3-ring binder or something, because they're really precious to go back and look over. Yeah, and sometimes they're helpful, right? They just how to solve a problem, just to go back and go, what did he say when he gets sick? He wants me to what? So you had one about HALT.
Yeah, HALT. HALT is a, I don't know, I think that they use it in the 12-step programs. It's hungry, angry, lonely, tired. And so oftentimes when we're in one of those triggered moments, whether we're hungry and we might get cranky or irritable or angry or lonely or tired, or perhaps we're all 4. The 10 and 10 that we did the other night on HALT, I talked about here's what I'm looking for from you if you recognize it, and I haven't communicated to you that I am quote unquote halting. How might you acknowledge it, and what responses you might expect from me when I'm in HALT, how my behavior might be, things that nature. So it was really kind of a disclosure conversation that we entered into. And I wanted to add also, these are kind of like little 10-minute love letters, little mini love letters in a way. Some of them are me loving her, and some of them in my communication, it's me loving me. So I'm stating a position or an attitude towards something. And so it's either way, it's a kiss to a kiss, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Oh, it's fine.
So, yeah.
We always feel more in love when we're finished, and sometimes it even evokes tears, but usually not. Usually it's just a wonderful connection and again, relationship building.
And I want to just take a minute to reiterate that the value that I see in this process for the men is that it's a demonstration of my love and my commitment to Mary Kay.
Yes.
So I'm passionate about the process. So I don't have to be sold on it. And I'm not saying you do either. I'm just saying that if you come in with cold feet, it's fine. You don't have to get it right. You don't have to get it perfect. Just practice the tool and do it as openly as you can do it. And it's not something you're comparing each other's notes to see who wrote the most or who did it right. It's really just starting to release and communicate. And it's been invaluable for me. So it's one of many tools that we use, and I'm sure we'll bring other tools to the table here as we move forward. But I really do. I encourage you to take the first step. Roll up your pant legs and go in maybe knee deep with the water with us here, and just start the process. I think you'll be amazed at what it will do not only inside you into your heart, but what it'll do to her heart, and then the us variable or the us ingredient relative to nurturing the coupleship. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? So yeah. So guys, give it a chance and don't put expectations on it. Just try it and practice it.
And the good news is it's just 20 minutes, right? I mean, that's the other cool thing. When that timer goes up, you are done. I don't care if you're in the middle of a sentence. You're done, because usually one or the other isn't crazy about doing it. That's not true for us, but often there's one person that wants to do it more than the other. So the fact that you are doing it for 20 minutes is huge, but you really want to honor, you don't want to go over that 20 minutes. And again, what I really appreciate about his John is he does it, right? I mean, I think one night I flew in and he had to pick me up late at the airport, and I was so tired. And he goes, "Gotta do 10-10." I go, "What?" He goes, "Oh yeah." And you were going to say why.
And here's the why piece for me is because I choose to develop healthy habits. And so, yeah, it's not quote unquote illegal to not do it one week, but for me, it's sowing into our relationship. And I don't want to go 1 week without, and then something come up that then a second week goes by. It's just a valuable investment in us. And so I simply choose, not legalistically, I simply choose to do it weekly. So it's just a great investment. It's worth the time and the energy and the risk. So
Yeah.
take the risk.
That's true. It is a risk. It is. We realize that. And so you want to start with something softer and easier, like what's my favorite room in our house? You know, I mean, just something, it can be just real simple and it can be playful. You know, what's the last time you made me laugh? Or what silly thing that we haven't done for a while do I want to do again? Yeah, and I think you said last night when we were kind of preparing for the call, it was like a crack in the cement. Did I get that right?
And then
Or the
from my
concrete.
construction point of view, said, Mary Kay, you can't crack cement. You can crack concrete. Cement's part of concrete.
Right.
Yeah, but it really opens our hearts. It opens our minds, and we explore one another, and that's the gift. So
It's huge. So again, it's 10 and 10. They're called Worldwide Marriage Encounter, WWME, Worldwide Marriage Encounter Dialogue Questions. And again, thousands of them on the internet. Thousands of couples doing that now. Obviously, get to a marriage encounter. I mean, that's the other thing, is going on the retreat where they teach the skill. But in the meantime, I know a lot of couples say, oh, well, you know, why? In the meantime, I just taught this to an ideal and her husband about 2 weeks ago. And she wrote back to me and she said it was miraculous how close we felt after talking about a topic that had been a hard one. So they actually started with a hard topic just because they knew they had to talk about it, but they talked about it in writing instead of talking about it in words. So however you use it, it'll be great. But we wanted to end with a little story of what happened this morning. We were talking about the importance of just being together and not having an agenda. And John puts his phone on
Pandora, it was.
Pandora, yeah. And so it'll just pick a song. And we'd never heard this song before, but we thought it was so amazing. So we're going to play a little bit of it. And I'm going to read you some of the lyrics. It's by Snow Patrol, and we were just blown away that these lyrics came up, because we do it all, everything on our own. We don't need anything or anyone, right? That's sometimes where we can get to, as I just have to be completely independent. But the whole couple relationship goes against that. It says it's important to be vulnerable. It's important to need and be with each other and open ourselves. Again, take risks. And so the favorite line here was, if I lay here, if I just lay here, would you lie with me and just forget the world? So that's kind of what we believe this skill does, is it just says, I'm taking time out from the world and taking time for you. Thank you, sweetheart.
Thank you, babe.
Thanks, everybody. Happy coupling.
See you next time.